Yo.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Hacking Health Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Canning, with Dave Kennedy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back. As promised, we are coming back with the almost at the end of the update of the fast. I am at 69 hours and 6 minutes.
I'm going to say I'm at 69 hours and 6 minutes as well because I want to eat faster, but I'm at 64 hours and 54 minutes. So to be truthful.
How are you feeling?
I'm ready to eat. I'm ready. Like it comes in spurts, like it's like last night was
lunchtime
really
again.
tough. It's lunchtime again. You're right. 100%. It comes in spurts for me about when I would eat. So last night was probably the hardest for me. Like I literally walked into the fridge. Well, first of all, I cooked the kids' pizzas, which is a fucking mistake. Because like I'm smelling the pizzas, it's right there. The food is right there. I can literally just grab it and put it in my mouth, and then I gave it to my kids. So then, I just sat there. Aaron was watching TV, and if you keep the refrigerator open for a certain amount of time, it starts to beep.
Yeah. And you were just standing there
beeping because I was just staring at the refrigerator, the food that's inside there. I'm like, I will literally drink mayonnaise right now. I will drink pickle juice. I don't care. I'm just so hungry, but I didn't do it. I shut the door. Went to bed, woke up this morning. I did cardio again this morning. I did HIIT training this morning. Actually, it was really good. I had a great session this morning. First of all, I felt super light. Obviously, I have nothing in my system. But two, my performance was fantastic. I was off the hook in there with a lot of energy, which I was really surprised at. I thought I would be drained as hell. And the crazier part about it is, again, no caffeine, no pre-workout, nothing like that. I literally went home, showered, went into work, feel great. Again, starving, want food, but I'm doing really good. Really good.
Cool. Good, but you're ready to eat tonight?
It's 7:07 is the time, and I will have copious amounts of food. I'm gonna kill a cow. Like it's gonna be the entire cow. I have the cow outside ready to go. He's mooing. He knows it's happening.
What's the plan for food? Because this has consumed my thoughts today. Like I would say I have been fine. Like I genuinely haven't felt hungry. The biggest thing that I have missed is looking forward to what I'm going to eat, because I love food. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to have this for dinner. I can't fucking wait to have that. So I've missed that for the past couple of days. And I did say to myself yesterday, I was like, tonight, so 8 p.m, I'm due to break fast. And I was like, maybe I could just extend it to Thursday morning and do 84 hours. As I get closer, fuck that idea. I'm just going to eat tonight. But it has consumed my thoughts of right, what is my first.
You texted me this morning, like, oh, I'm going to go another day. I'm like, that's cool, bro. I'm not. I'm definitely not.
Have fun.
I am not going another. I'm not going the rest of the night. I'm eating tonight.
My thought was like I could go out for breakfast, and I was like I would really enjoy it. But I think as I get closer, I have mentally prepared myself for what I'm going to eat. So 7:07. What are you having?
So I already have it planned out. I have a nice 10-ounce fillet that I bought from the butcher, and I also have. I'm going to do steak and eggs with wheat toast. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, with butter. Yeah, that is my go-to. And then afterwards, I'm going to have a massive strawberry. I'm just kidding. I'm not. That's all I want. I'm actually not a sweets guy. Like I don't like sweets. Like I don't know. Like I've never had a thing for like I need chocolate or I need ice cream or anything. I love the other types of food, but I never like candy and stuff like that. I mean, I'll snack on it sometimes, but it's not like a staple of mine. So for me, like I'm really looking forward to a steak, a medium rare, perfectly done steak with some sunny side up eggs and some wheat bagels. So wheat toast with some butter and some salt on there, and that's gonna be my go-to for today.
That does sound good. I mean, I know I want that.
Because the eggs, you get the runny, the drippy eggs.
Yeah. No, I know exactly how it's going to go. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. I'm going to have a bowl of oats.
Okay. Uncooked oats.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're going to put water in it, though.
I'll put milk in it, and I'll have some sort of protein in it. And I specifically went to the store just before we came on here, and I bought loads of like different types of berries. I got some almond butter. I got some pistachios. So it's going to be the best bowl of oats that I've ever had in my entire life.
You're going to heat it up, correct?
No, I'm not going to heat it up.
Okay. Well,
that's what I'm going to have. But now maybe I'll have eggs after that.
Eggs sound good.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. But other than that, I feel good. Like Jenny, a couple of people have asked me. I had a couple of calls today, and like I feel like I honestly feel good. I've had a couple of really productive days. I made a mistake of going to a coffee shop yesterday to work in, and they were cooking food, and I was like, I gotta leave this place. Fuck this. But all in all,
the smells get you. Like when I was cooking the pizzas, I was like, this smells like the best pizza I have ever made in my entire life. Like it honestly is probably the best pizza I've ever made. So, yeah.
And you missed out.
And I missed out.
But no, I have felt good. Like I said, I had a couple of productive days. As I said to you before we come on, there were a couple of times yesterday I was like, I don't know if the words that I'm saying that are coming out of my mouth make any sense. So if none of this makes sense, please bear with us. But all in all, like I feel good. Definitely, I took some photos just again before we come on to send over to James. I'm definitely leaner, and I think from Monday morning to this morning, I was down about 7 pounds. So it'll be interesting to see how that takes back up over the next couple of days when we introduce food. But I will say, you've done it differently in terms of you've done cardio. I haven't trained at all. And my biggest observation of this whole thing is, if you don't eat and you don't train, you have so much more time in the day.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And even like my, I didn't lift yesterday. I just did cardio Monday and today. And there was obviously lifting as part of that, but like, I mean, I will agree with you. Like, it's amazing. Like, I worked through lunch. I was getting a bunch of stuff done at dinner. Like, I was like working at dinner. I was like, this is great. I'm getting so much stuff done and accomplished. But I will say, like, I was expecting like a epiphany of brain function that was going to happen. Like, I was going to be like the clearest I've ever been before. And it's actually the opposite. I feel like, we were talking about this before the podcast started, but I feel like sometimes I would just like start talking and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Like, it's just kind of like babbling on is the best way of explaining it. And I mean, while I feel good, I feel clear, I feel fine, I don't feel like I'm like as mentally sharp when I have energy in the food to kind of sustain that. I don't feel as I'm mentally as acute as I would normally be. Yeah,
we had the call on Monday with the group, and Dill was like, yeah, you were a lot more chill, and I guess that's why. But I have felt pretty like productive and clear Monday and Tuesday, but it did start to run out last night. So that is my observation of that. But I mean,
I'm curious again how you're handling the lack of caffeine, because like for me, I tapered off of caffeine quite a bit before I even started this. So I was on low caffeine. I was only drinking maybe 1 cup of coffee a day, and that was it from a caffeine perspective. So I was already pretty much down. So the caffeine didn't really impact me other than I had a horrible headache the first day, but I don't equate that to caffeine. I think that was just more so like, hey, give me some effing food, man, or dehydrated or whatever it ends up being. Maybe I wasn't drinking enough water, but the next day that went away. I haven't had a headache since. So
yeah, I don't really drink that much caffeine. Like, I would maybe have one either like can of Monster or coffee in a day, and then pre-workout if I'm training, and that's it. So it's been fine. I did buy myself a new coffee machine that came here yesterday, and it was sad, like putting it together and not able to use it until tomorrow. So there will be
what kind of coffee machines you get?
Sage Barista Pro.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll do like flat whites and latte art and all that sort of stuff. Apparently,
yeah, I got a Terra Cafe, I think is what it is, and it does the same thing. It's like all automated system that makes you the flat whites and things like that. So
I'll send you a photo. I'll share it with you.
I'll share you one too. Yeah,
I'll share it with you right now. But yes, I'm looking forward to actually consuming food, and I will take myself out. So I'm going to have oats tonight. I potentially will have eggs and a bagel after. I don't know whether I'll just be like super full because I haven't eaten anything.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have a tremendous bowl of oats later on, and then I'll take myself out for breakfast in the morning, because I feel like that's the thing that I'm looking forward to the most, is eating breakfast food.
I know a lot of people say like they try to kind of keep it as a light meal, when they go through it, because like, your body's just kind of getting used to the food digestion again. And for me, I'm like,
you're like, fuck that.
I want a steak. I want some eggs. I want
to eat 2,500 calories.
Yeah, I'm gonna get 2,500 calories in one sitting here. All right, we are going all out. So my digestive system's going to be like, hold on, Bucko, here we go. So,
but I'm looking forward to training again tomorrow. Like, I'm trying to get a session in, and I think it'll be much better. But yeah, I mean, we'd recommend. We'd do it again. A couple of people are like, oh, you're crazy. I'm like genuinely hasn't been that bad.
It hasn't been that bad. I'll tell you, if you can make it past the first 24 hours, the rest of it's fine.
I will say, if you hadn't been doing it, I probably would have binned it off. If you hadn't been doing it and I put it out on the internet, I probably would have sacked it off yesterday and just had something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No question. No question. Yesterday, that pizza was being eaten. If we weren't in a competition right now, it was absolutely going to be pizza. There's no question. Like it was already in my head. I'm like, listen, I might just do this. And I'm like, no. I can't let Ben know this. So, and I'd have to be honest with you, honest. So it's like, I wasn't going to risk that. But if we weren't in a competition and I hadn't been posting on the internet, I would have been like, yeah, I'm devouring this pizza right now.
Yeah. So I guess the lesson here for anybody who wants to do a 72-hour fast, tell someone and get someone to do it with you. Put it on the internet, so you have to do it.
Yeah.
People are
Yep.
invested. Like I posted on Instagram, like what you eat, and people are giving me endless amount of things. I was like, nah, none of this is what I want. I just want a bowl of oats.
Yep.
So that's what I'll have.
So far that's so good. We're at the home stretch here, so I got what 6.5 hours to go. 6 hours to go.
We got 3 3.75.
You're close, very close.
Mm-hmm.
I should have started the same time as you, so I could eat right now, but it's all right. I was at the Cavs game. I was like, all right, they had some good food there and stuff, so I was like, all right.
I'll whenever I'm eating, I'll record myself and I'll send it to you, or I'll just FaceTime you.
I was thinking about eating Taco Bell at the first time. I was like, well,
absolutely. That is not like your digestive has had a break.
It.
Your digestive is another break. It does not need that right now.
I thought maybe it's kind of like a fast because it goes in and out the same same time.
It's
You
0
really
calories.
absorb the calories, right? Yeah.
Taco Bell is 0 calories. Follow for more fat loss tips. Right. So this week you want to talk about a video that you watched for Dr. Mike and his biceps. Dr. Mike's amazing best ever bicep training program. Period.
Yeah. So Dr. Mike came out with a new lift. It's not really a new lift. It was more of a jest or a joke, but he calls it, I think, something like the Dr. Mike's most incredible bicep workout exercise you could possibly do for your entire body, and you have to call it that the entire time. So, but what I wanted to talk about is there's a lot of information out there around different types of exercises and which ones are better, which ones are superior, which ones give you the most amount of growth. The truth of the matter is that it does come to feel in many cases of you and your body. And when you start to recognize that, you figure out which exercises work best for you. And so there's a lot of exercises I'll see, like a lot of these influencers or scientific researchers, things like that. They're like, this is the best one. And I'll do it. And I feel like my arms will feel like shit afterwards. Like I bend them in weird ways, or, like I feel like I'm not getting enough volume. I can't get enough momentum on them. It's just weird angles, things like that. And maybe it stretches my shoulder in a different way that I just don't like. And so while they might be acutely sound to kind of put that muscle in a stretch position, and then from there, give you the best benefit, they may not be ideal for you. And what Dr. Mike was kind of explaining was you really want to continuously load that muscle with as much weight as possible to give you that pump, to give you that feeling of exertion, and to fatigue that muscle in the most efficient way possible. And what he would say is he would do all of these, crazy bicep workouts, that he'd see, or he'd research or study, and he'd have to do like an additional 4 or 5 sets just to equate to what he would normally do on, let's just say, a bicep routine that would fatigue the muscle in the same way. So he had to do more for essentially less in those types of positions. And so I think it's important to note that just because, a lift may have a lot of buzz around it, it may not be the best for you and what you're doing. And what he was talking about in his bicep workout that I thought, was good is that, he was talking about how, bicep curls are still an amazing, dumbbell bicep curls are still an amazing exercise or workout, just sitting there with dumbbells and lifting them up and putting them down. Hammer curls, lifting them up and putting them down. Those are phenomenal workouts that you will feel the burn and the tension and everything else. Today at Orange Theory, it was bicep workouts, and I literally used the 50-pound weights and burned the hell of my muscles out to where I couldn't even lift my muscles up anymore. Right. So, it doesn't mean you have to get super complex and do these massive types of things. But then he goes into the ones he likes, and I was like, I'm not effing doing like half of these. First of all, one of them was laying down. So taking a rope machine. What am I looking for? Not
this is
rope,
where our brains aren't working like.
Yeah, a cable machine. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So taking a cable machine and lying straight down and putting your feet, on the machine, and then doing bicep curls laying completely flat, right? So taking like a bar, attaching it to the curl, and doing those, right? And that's actually a pretty good one because you're isolating the muscles. You have enough torque, on your legs to keep that tension, moving forward, and you can do some heavy weights that way, which I would consider. I would consider doing that one, right? Incline dumbbell bicep curls, really good. So you have an incline position. He said the lower you can go on that incline machine, the better. With what you're doing. So, sitting in an incline position, like you'd be doing like an incline bench press, but keeping your arms behind you and coming from that stretch position up will keep the load on the head of the bicep the most as you're going up and pushing up in that routine, which is, going to be a superior type of thing because the amount of stress on that muscle is really isolating those biceps. And then his magic one, Dr. Mike's most magical exercise movement ever was a laying down bicep curl, where basically you take, if you take a normal bench and you have the long part of the bench and then the short part where you typically sit your butt at, you move that up just a little bit where your butt would typically sit up in and use that as kind of a headrest to keep your head upright. And then you do bicep curls that way laying down, which he said was by far his favorite exercise. He could feel the most amount of load on those. He also said using, sitting down, using your knee and using your knees for bicep curls. I can't remember the name of the exercise offhand.
Concentration curl.
Concentration curl. Thank you. That's why you're here. Being able to do lower weights with that, to be able to isolate the bicep in that position too, also in a stretch position, very good bicep curl for you to go and do. So, again, these ones might be ones you're already doing, might not be. I will say, as of right now, my favorite one is the incline dumbbell bicep curl. I feel like I get an amazing stretch position. It's also kind of an ego hit as well, because you have to go lighter weight as you're going and doing, because you're in such a backwards position. You don't have enough, like if you're just doing normal bicep curls and you're standing up, you can get a lot more weight and momentum and movement because you're leveraging portions of your back and your legs and everything else that goes along with that. Whereas you can't use any part of your body in an incline position. You're literally focusing on just those biceps and moving those biceps up. So, usually when I'm doing those, I'm only using, maybe 30 to 35 pounds of weight, where normally a bicep curl will be doing 50 to 60 pounds on those. So you have to remember, hey, it's not about the weight itself. It's about how you're using it and the types of positions that you're in.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that all of those different ways to do a bicep curl, they're manipulating essentially how your body works. So this is where it delves deeply into biomechanics and understanding where the force comes from, where your strength profile is, and the other bits and pieces that put that together, which is actually the full 12-week course that I'm going to start. I think it's next week. So I'm excited to play around with that, because I actually had a call with Sean earlier on today, and he was asking me about the incline dumbbell chest press and what's the best angle. And I'm like, well, what's the best angle that feels for you? Because it's going to be different for me and you and everybody else. So it's play about with how you actually feel it and where you feel it. So understanding, number one, what it is that you're trying to achieve, what muscle you're contracting and what that actually feels like to contract it. Number two, as you said, with the laying down ones or even the incline ones, taking as much of everything else from your body out of it as possible, no momentum. So obviously the ones where he's talking about laying on the floor with the cable, there's no momentum there. You have to actually contract your bicep to do it. Same with the one where he's lying on the bench. Same that you're talking about with the incline. It's all going to come from your bicep because you're taking everything else as much as possible. You can't swing into it. Even the concentration curls, the reason you put your elbow against your knee is because it's taking any other momentum out. So you're forced to actually use the muscle. So playing about with that. But also, I think the main part is what one works for you the best. The same as everything that we absolutely talk about, the nutrition plan, the way that you eat, your training schedule, your cardio, your steps, your whole life, it needs to be the thing that works for you. So yes, Dave can sit here and say he really enjoys the incline hammer curls, and that's cool, but they might be shit for you. The one that I get the most from is doing a single arm dumbbell preacher. So setting the bench at an angle and tucking the bench right into, and we did it actually in your gym with a cable as well. That hero photo that Ryan took of you many, many years ago. Because it takes out the momentum and it gives me the best concentration through my bicep as well. And the other one is doing the standing cable ones, either seated on the bench or standing with the pad on my back, because again, the cable machine that I have downstairs, the pad can go out on your back, so you can lean against it, and then obviously the cables are coming from behind you, and then you get that fully stretched position. There's no momentum in it because you're leaning against the pad, and then you have to contract the whole way up. So just understanding, your muscles will go through a fully lengthened to a fully contracted position, and that's what you need to work through essentially. And you can do it in a lot of exercises. You can do it with the one exercise. Some muscle groups require you to do one or more exercise. So for example, if you think about hamstring, you can do the fully lengthened position in an RDL, which is, as we know, my finisher move. But to get the fully contracted position, you need to do something like a seated hamstring curl or a lying hamstring curl or something. So you need to do two different exercises to get both parts of the muscle in the fully lengthened and fully contracted position.
Yeah. And so mechanistically, what we're looking for here, right, is what can we do in a specific muscle group, to target that muscle group in some sort of position that allows it to get that full contraction and the most amount of volume and load on that weight to create that distress signal in your body to build more muscle, to build stronger muscle, to add more muscle in the best, most efficient way possible. And it doesn't always mean copious amounts of volume that you have to put into it. And I think if you're doing so much volume, you're probably not doing the right exercises to hit that muscle group in a way to fatigue it faster, right? And I attest to the way that I like to lift is just me personally, is
the way that I program,
the way that you program, but it's also fully sending it every single time, right? It's that first exercise I'm doing, like let's just say we're talking about the programming around right now with push day. One of my first exercises is going to be an incline bench press, incline Smith machine press. Okay, and there's another day too where I'm doing dumbbells as well. But on that incline Smith machine press, we have a couple warm up sets, right, just to kind of get the muscles going, feeling good, everything else, to kind of get yourself a little bit heated. And then the next set is going to be an extremely heavy set, and then I'm going to have a back off set, right? So when I'm doing, and this is just the programming I'm going through right now. I'm not saying you have to follow the same programming, but when I'm doing that heavy set, I am going as hard as I can to failure at that point in time, to where I can't push anymore and I'm almost dying, right? But at that time, I'm fully exerting myself and my muscles at that point in time to push the most amount of load as fast as possible into there. And then I do a back off set, of lighter weight again, until I can't do any more. So, let's just say, my first set's going to be, not today. Like my last push set was Saturday. So Saturday on my push set, I loaded up, 300 onto my bench, and I did, six reps of those. And I was about 6.5. I was getting up and I was failing, right? And I'm getting there and I can't get up. And then I kind of kick my arch and I arch my back up more, and I, kind of cheat a bit to get the rest of it up there, just to get that last little inch. And I was able to get that 7th, set or rep into there. But I was fatigued at that point. I could feel that pump already starting to hit my chest. I could feel my chest already feeling fatigued just from one set. Then my back off set was what I consider kind of the extreme pump, right? Because now you're putting a lot more volume into place. So instead of doing 300, I take two, 45s off, I'm taking 90 pounds off. So I'm only sitting at 210, and I'm repping out until I can't go. And I can probably hit, I think I hit like 14 of those. And I'm dying at the end of that. I can't get it up. And again, I have to arch my back just to get it up, to be able to do it. And in 2 sets, my muscles are fried, right? But then I still have, by the way, 2 or 3 more exercises to go after that. So, you can be way efficient in what you're doing and not have to do, 15 sets on a muscle group, a exercise. I'd probably say that that's counterproductive. For me, I'm trying to stay now around the 8 to 9 set range of what I'm doing in a given time. And those last sets, by the way, are typically kind of the burner sets. So like chest flies, for example, right? So, chest flies, I'm just kind of depleting the rest of what I have in my chest to get all those out. And I'm usually, I usually start heavier and go lighter. So I by the time I get to that last set and my first set of my chest flies, that last rep, I'm exhausted, right? So I have to go down in weight to get the same type of rep range that I want to, because I'm already fatigued at that point. So I keep just going down, basically. It's like essentially running the rack, for lack of a better term.
Running the rack on a chest fly, like pec deck, is serious. Like, it is serious.
That's the best pump. If you ever want to get the best disco pump of your life, running the rack on chest, like just go downstairs and just run the rack chest fly. You will have everybody be like, damn, he's got some nice boobs, like,
But I will say, like, I'll have to put a caveat in here, because this is cool for us to say. And I think that being able to do that is a learned skill. Like, if this is your first time ever listening to a podcast and you've never been in the gym before, do not do this. Like, you need to learn how to actually do the movement, contract the muscle and feel it. Like, people could go and do 8 reps and not actually feel the muscle. So if you're earlier on in your training career, like, I'm always a fan of more sets, more reps, just to actually learn the movement, like literally put the reps in to feel it. But I agree, like, this is my preferred way of training too. It's like 1 set that you just fucking send it on and then a back off set. There's no like fluffing about with 3 or 4 sets. It doesn't need to be a lot. It's just you give a lot to the stuff that you're doing. And I actually had another call with a client earlier, and his training set at the minute that there's 5 exercises per session. I was like, I reminded him again today. I was like, there are only 5 exercises. You sure as shit should be sending every single fucking one of those, because there is only 5.
Yep.
I think that's the important thing. So it is a learned skill. You do need to be able to contract them. You need to understand what actually going to failure is, because again, if you're new to the gym, like your mental failure will come before your physical failure. So learning to see what that actually feels like and understand like what you can actually push to. So if it's your first day in the gym and it's January and you're just starting out, don't do what Dave just said.
That mind muscle connection takes time to develop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked about this before on the podcast. My chest was the hardest one for me to develop the relationship with my chest, right? It was the hardest. My chest just fought me. It never wanted to communicate. It never wanted to talk to me. I was upset. You know, I'm trying to talk to you.
It was a difficult relationship, to say the least.
It was a very hostile relationship. It would not. And honestly, you know, it's funny because it wouldn't grow either. My chest was the worst developed area that I had in my body for the longest time, until I just switched strictly to incline. All I do now is incline and chest flies, like period. Just build that upper chest up. But I'll tell you a couple quick hacks that I learned to develop that relationship. So on chest flies, so you're already you want to be in a stress position. So you want your shoulders to be back, right? You want to feel that stretch in your shoulders, because that's going to stretch out your pecs to be in that stress position in its most vulnerable / most tension
I'm just
state.
going to say that picture of you right now is the one that I'm going to put for the thumbnail when you're like this. Just so you know.
Hold my chest. But if you're watching us on YouTube stream, you'll see this. But I'm pulling all the way back to where I'm in a stress position. Now, when I come up, most people don't go all the way in to where they're touching their hands. Okay, you want to touch your hands, but I also want you to do is when you're coming up, rotate the palms inward like this and come in and really push that chest out. When I do that, I feel a completely different contraction. So if I just go like this in a stretch position and I come up and I do my chest, yes, I feel it. But when I do this, I really feel it, because I'm kind of, it's almost like a scooping motion underneath, where my arms are kind of coming underneath like this in that machine. And it causes the chest to just really freak the heck out. And I can feel it 10 times more than not just doing that.
That's trying to get into the fully contracted position. So the way that I used to coach it when I coached face to face was like, imagine that you're trying to almost bring your elbows underneath your chest to like bring it up as if you're trying to present your cleavage. That's how you switch it. But if you think about fully extending, as you said, and as you rotate in, so internally rotate so you think about your thumb, bring your thumb up and internally rotate through your shoulder, and then try and bring your elbows together. That's when you get the most contraction from that. But yeah, I agree. And even that mind muscle connection, like I'm sure you can do it too. Like I can feel the connection.
Yeah, right there. I can feel as soon as I do it, the entire chest is locked in, right? And the same thing, by the way, you can do on that pec deck machine is the rear delts.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing rear flies on the machine, what I want you to do is kind of, and Dr. Mike actually talked about this, and this is how I kind of learned this one, is think about grabbing as far out as you can, and that you're like literally reaching as far as you can outward, and you're reaching all the way out. So
he
when
talks
you're
about swimming in his money. That's what that's exactly what he talks
about. Your money.
Yeah.
Yep. So you reach out as far as you can and extend your arms as far as you can as you're going through that range of motion. You're going to get a better contraction on your rear delts doing that, because again, you're stretching that muscle as far as it can go in its most vulnerable state, putting the most amount of load into it, and how that muscle is designed to work, that you're going to notice, you're going to feel your rear delts really hitting that fire motion, that fire feeling that you get with the lactic acid buildup and everything else in that specific type of movement. And you can do that for very similar motions of movement. So like when I'm doing incline dumbbell presses, I do the same thing. You know, when I'm coming up, when I rotate, I kind of rotate downward and I keep my elbows inward as I'm coming through, and I push up again. And I'm doing kind of the same thing as I would be, you know, on that chest fly as well, trying to get as much as I'm holding my chest again. Trying to get that contraction. But they all work the same way. Same thing for legs, right? You know, same thing for your glutes and your hammies. Your quads, you know, everything works in the same way mechanistically. So it's trying to find that exercise where you can really feel that burn. And that's why for me, like hack squats work really, really, really well, because from a quad perspective, my feet are further outward, in that motion. And as I'm coming downward, it's putting all that load onto my quads, and I'm not using my back, to be able to, like, if you're doing a squat, you're obviously using your spinal erector, you're using your erectors, using, large portions of your body in your back. You're using your glutes and your hamstrings as well. But in a hack squat position, you're literally eliminating almost all of that, just completely putting that load on the quads. And I have that, the Rogue ISO leg press, and I'm not typically a leg press fan. I don't like leg press machines. I don't feel like I get as much load on the quads, but with that ISO leg press machine, I do, because I can kind of torque my body a little bit, and I can get that exact position to where my leg now is fully, my quad is in a fully contracted state as I'm pushing up, and I get some amazing burn on my quads now because of that. And you can also play with your leg placements on the where your feet go on the front of the leg press on the plate, and you can hit different muscle groups too. You can make leg press machines predominantly, glute and hammy focused versus quad focused, or a combination of both. So if you're in a hurry and you don't have enough time for like another exercise like an RDL or something, you can do a leg press that will also burn out your glutes and hammies and your quads at the same time. So there's a lot of cool things you can do to play with, your exercises to get the most amount of value for the most amount of time, the most bang for your buck. But as Ben had mentioned, this requires, being knowledgeable in the gym, getting that mind muscle connection with what you're doing. And, as you start off with this, more reps in the, 8 to 12, 8 to 15 rep range are going to be much more desirable for you starting off than not. And then from there, kind of progressing and seeing how you go from there.
For sure. And top tip on the leg press, like a quick thought of how to do quads versus hamstrings. If you go narrow, and whenever you're doing it, imagine pushing your foot up the plate, you're going to get more quad focused. And if you go slightly wider and imagine dragging your heel down the plate, it's going to get more hamstring glute focused.
Yep, absolutely. So when I'm doing mine, typically, because I'm focusing on quad, my feet are higher up and closer together. And there's a sweet spot there for me, because if I'm too close, my range of motion, because I'm so long, gets cut back. So I can't go back as far. So I have to keep it kind of in between close and spread a little bit, because my range of motion is cut a bit. Because if my knees just come directly back, then I'm not able to get a good range of motion on that. But if they're just out a little bit more, my knees are kind of bent inward a little bit, I am able to push back much further, still hitting the quads predominantly, but also not hitting the glutes and hammies. And so it's feeling what works best for you. And my body type is different. I'm 6'4", I'm basically all arms and legs. I have to be able to do it. It's funny. My son, Gavin, he's now, you wait till you see him, dude. He's as tall as you and me. Like he's like 6'3" and some change. And okay. He's a lengthy boy. And, he's getting back into lifting again, and I'm trying to show him all of these techniques. And it's great because I can show him what works for me, because it works for him, because he's the exact same body type as, well, he's just a rail. Like, he's got no muscle mass whatsoever yet. He's working on it. But my son, Mason, I have to teach differently because he's shorter. His limbs are shorter. So when I'm teaching him certain movements, I have their positions in different locations based on the body types that I'm working with on them. Because things like chest fly, for example, that'll be the same across the board, based on stretch position. When you start getting into your legs and things like that, even like flies and things like that are different mechanically with shorter people versus longer people. Because my arms are so long, I have to go so far up and so far down as I'm going and doing it. There's things you can do to kind of help that a bit, like angling yourself a little bit one way and going up, putting a little bit more strain on that, or the other way, putting a little more strain on your delts as you're coming through if you're using dumbbells. I actually prefer when I'm doing, if I'm doing dumbbell lat raises, I actually do it on the bench, and I hang over the bench and I do it that way. Mm-hmm. So I take my back completely out of play as I'm going and doing it. I don't prefer, like I almost never now do dumbbell lat raises, period. I don't like them. I like the cable machine with the wrist strap. To me, that is like the cheat code lat raise that you can possibly do for your delts, because you're putting continual tension. So you think about it crossing your body, and you can use a just a normal hand grip as well. You don't have to use a strap, but just taking the grip and putting it across your body, and you're already in a stress position for your delt. So even if I look at this right now, just what I'm doing, my delt is popping out right now. Like it is in a stress position. It is engaged right now as I'm doing this, and I don't even have any weights on it, right? And you have weights on it, and as you start to come up, because the cable is putting that constant tension on your body, you're going to have the same amount of weight as you're coming up through the whole range of motion. And as you get up to here, this is going to be the least amount of weight that you're going to have on your shoulder, but still it's pulling down, still engaging that side delt as you're coming through and doing it. And so again, it's a great type of thing. And you can do them too, by the way, with two, you do crossbody, and you can do two kind of coming up like this as well. I prefer to do single arm and kind of putting my hand on the, my left hand on the machine, and then kind of to stabilize my body so I'm not using my back as much. You can also do it again. You do the same thing on a bench, so you completely eliminate your ability to use your back. But I like to put my hand on it, and you can do it also sit kneeling on your knees, which also again takes a lot of that back motion out of it. And again, just getting that full stretch into that position, that load onto that side delt, and being able to build it that way. Again, really, really cool movement and exercise to actually work through on your side delts.
I got you to try the Dr. Mike's super range of motion lateral raises yet?
No, what's that?
We'll save that. We'll save that for people.
Do that for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of the main point of today was like, hey, look at the types of exercises you're doing, and is it the most efficient for what you're actually accomplishing, and what are ways that you can improve getting away with less, right? Loading the muscle more and being more efficient at what you're doing. And like there's certain movements, like for example, I bought a preacher curl machine, just the bench, and I don't like it. Okay. I don't like it for me personally, and I know a lot of people do, but I feel like I'm hurting my arms as I'm going and doing it. It feels unnatural for me as I'm going and doing it. Now I have a preacher curl machine that locks the back of my tricep into position and allows me to isolate my bicep. I get a much better pump that way than I do with preacher curls. Again, that works best for me because of the machine. And a lot of times machines are far superior than actual dumbbells and things like that. I'm not saying across all of it, but machines many times can be phenomenal for what you're doing. If you look at Jay Cutler only uses machines. Like he will do barbell back squats and things like that as kind of a finisher for the end, but really his entire exercises are all on machines, period. You look at Ronnie Coleman, exact opposite, right? I don't think he ever uses a machine. So, it's what your personal preference is, what works best for you. But at the end of the day, trying to find that best type of exercise that works for you to grow that muscle and to give the most amount of strain, to get you that feel, that burn, the fatigue, to where you can't get it again, you get that amazing pump. That's what we're trying to go for, right?
Exactly that. And I think that the biggest thing, even with machines, like play about with the position of yourself. Like I'll challenge you whenever I'm there about that preacher, like the bench version. I think we can make it work, but it's just about playing about with not being totally sold on the little sassy man that's on the plaque of the machine. Like you don't need to look like him. Like you can play about with it to make it fit yourself.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Cool. Right.
Awesome. Well, that was it for this podcast, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. We're now, I am now 65 hours and 31 minutes into my fast, so I'm getting pretty darn close here.
Well, I'm 69 hours and 45 minutes, so we're almost there. I will keep you posted on the food.
Yep. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Tune in next week for an amazing podcast, and catch you all later. Thank you guys again very much. And if you haven't checked it out, Hacking Health, we just did a new blog post on the science-driven approach to our supplement brand. So checking out hackingyourhealth.com. Go to the blog section. We break down a lot of the ins and outs of the ingredients we use, why we use them, everything else, and of course, full transparency on everything we do. We'll give a little bit of a teaser. We have some new things launching here very shortly, and some really big announcements coming that have been multiple years in the making. Can't wait to talk about it soon, but just a quick teaser. And hope you enjoy what we're doing here, and definitely share us around with your friends and family and friends and folks and things like that. So thank you all.
See you in the next one.
See you.